Hi, welcome to First Integrity Mortgage Services Chit Chat with Cindy Ballman. Today I have Brian Bianchi with Bianchi Insurance, and we're going to talk about life insurance today. So, Brian, thank you so much for joining me today. And I appreciate your time. Just wanted to, just talk a little bit about life insurance. I think a lot of people don't really think it's necessary, but why do you think that it is necessary? I mean, what are some of the main reasons why people should look into buying life insurance?
Paying for end-of-life expenses, so family don't get caught up with the debt and the bills. If you pass, your family has something to help remember you with. It's not just, hey, we got to spend 15,000. I think is the average funeral right now. We have to come up with that money put it on a credit card or do something. We have a little bit of something to remember. Then the family has time to grieve and not being forced right back into work.
What's the benefit for purchasing life insurance policy for your children? A lot of people don't realize you can get life insurance for your children.
Your children, if you get it while they're young, they'll be covered for life.
Okay.
If they get diagnosed with some type of medical condition, they might not be they'll be considered uninsurable later on. Where if you get it when they're, like I said, young, they'll have it, so it doesn't matter what happens later on.
Okay.
And
Okay.
most of the kids' policies also accumulate some type of a cash value, so they can use that for later in life if need be.
Right. I know I got something for my children when they were initially born, and it basically, I guess, matured at the age of 10. So we paid into it, but now they do have a cash value.
Right.
And they can use that money for anything.
To my knowledge, yes. I've also learned doing this for a little while that when you, especially with colleges, if you have the 529, they'll look at that. But if you want to use your life insurance money for college, they don't look at your life insurance when you fill out this form. So it helps you with grants and scholarships and need be stuff like that.
It's not additional money that they have to say, yes, I have this. Is that what?
Correct.
Oh, that's good to know as well. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what are the four main types of life insurance?
The final expense,
And
which
what does the
main
final
final
expense do?
expense is, I'd say for your elders, it usually only goes up to about 25,000. And if you don't use it within the first 2 years, sometimes you don't get your full benefit.
Okay.
And that's just kind of help to pay for the funeral and any end of life cost.
Okay.
Um, Term is probably the most popular. That's for most affordable. Usually in place, you can get them up to 35 years. The coverage amounts vary.
So let me stop you right there. So if I were to get a term policy, I pay into it for 35 years, or is it good for 35 years and then it's matured? Like, how does that term work?
So the term you'd pay monthly for however long you took the term out for 20, 30, 35. I think the lowest amount term I've seen is 10 years. And then you just pay monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the insurance company wants you to live, but your beneficiary can say, okay, now some of them do have a return of premium
Okay.
where after your 20 to 35 years, however your term is up, you would get all your premiums back.
Okay.
It's kind of like a secondary savings account.
Okay.
As I try to tell people well, I want to retire. Well, this is great because as a return of premium plan, if something happens to you, your beneficiaries get whatever the policy's amount is. But if you outlive your term, then you get all your money back that you've paid in on a tax-free check. I've got whole life, which is a little bit more expensive than term, but it lasts your entire lifetime
Okay.
as long as you keep up with the premiums.
Okay.
Like I said, the premiums are more expensive.
So that makes sense. Whole life, you're paying for your whole life.
Correct.
Okay.
It's more of a set it and forget it type.
Okay.
They do accumulate a cash value, but it takes, I think the average is about 7 years unless you do a big buy-in. But after about 7 years is when you can start seeing some of the funds to use.
Okay.
If you need to use it for personal use. And then the other one I like is accidental. It's called accidental death, and it pays out for any death that's deemed an accident. I really push those towards my first responders and people in construction because more than likely, if something's going to happen, it's going to be deemed an accident. Most deaths that I've seen will fall underneath the accident side. With, if you slip and fall at the house, or especially with the ice storm we just had,
Hmm.
if you something happens along that, then it'll be deemed an accident.
Okay.
Um, Usually those have a riders on them where if you die as a passenger in a train, plane, automobile, as a fare paying passenger, your beneficiary will get your policy amount plus usually around 25% more of your plan.
Okay. Heaven forbid that happens, but
Right.
again, and I think what you had said to me earlier was it's kind of a peace of mind. I mean, for your family, for your loved ones. Explain how having that life insurance maybe is a peace of mind.
So I would say, as the peace of mind, it's after someone passes and you lost your loved one and you have this in place, would it be better to be able to take a month or two, make sure the house is paid off, make sure all your debts are paid off, and to live that same lifestyle that you're accustomed to? Or would you have to pull the kids out of school, sell your house, go live somewhere else? And now you've not only interrupted your original lifestyle, now you're kind of interrupting, the kids that are maybe have some good friends
Hmm.
that can help them. Now you're moving school districts and moving, and you're not in the same lifestyle that you're accustomed to. And yes, we all know that things change after people pass, but that would be the biggest thing on why it's important to have your life insurance and plan.
Yeah. I can totally agree with you. I can, again, it provides that comfort to know that, okay, yes, I lost my loved one, but I have time to grieve. But I also know that we're going to be okay.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think right now most financial planners are recommending about 6 to 8 times the salary and have that in life insurance.
Okay.
To my knowledge, most employers, you can get up to about 500,000. But once you leave that job or resign or any type of things or go start your own business, you lose your company provided insurance.
How can people use their life insurance? You said they can use it towards generational wealth. So maybe it's not your wealth, but for your future generations to come. How does that work?
So I've learned doing this that Disneyland was actually formed by Walt Disney in 1955, and he borrowed against his whole life policy that his parents put in place. And then he borrowed against it, got his business up and growing, and then paid his insurance back to have that peace of mind. Um, the death benefits are almost always tax free. Some of the richest families in America use that, and I've learned doing some research on those guys that when someone passes, they'll put a certain percentage back into the family trust, go out and buy more life insurance for somebody else, and then the beneficiary keeps the rest of it. The money can also be used to help educate more family members, pay off houses, which then helps create that wealth if they want to borrow, like a home equity line against the house to buy more things, to more insurance or whatever they need to buy with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Put the kids through college or things like that to help invest in the family's future.
Okay. And that's amazing. I mean, it really is kind of cool to think about, Walt Disney, and that's how he got started.
Right.
But just by borrowing probably from a small policy, I mean, back in
Right.
1950s. But,
Correct. Yes.
nowadays might need a bigger policy for that.
Yeah, I think most, especially a kid, they usually start out about 5 to 10,000 on a plan.
Hmm. Yeah. And again, we don't ever want to think of what's the word I'm looking for? We don't want to, the inevitable is there for all of us. I
Correct.
mean, we can't avoid death or taxes, right?
Correct.
But the unexpected is what we're really trying to plan for.
Most plans you can get cheaper than probably your monthly Starbucks coffee or your Netflix plans. I think last time I was looking at one for about a 25-year-old female at about 400,000 was coming in right around $15 a month.
So not expensive at all.
No.
Hmm.
You give up Starbucks for one day a week and you probably have your coverage for the month.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. Okay. And I think, yeah, some of the other myths that we had mentioned were, like it isn't expensive, obviously. You said some companies maybe offer life insurance, but are there limitations?
I know like all the employers I've had, they give you you can, the, as an employee, you can buy up to X amount of coverage. It's like $2 a paycheck. But if they, as an employee, you don't own that policy. So if they use the company as a whole to get your coverage. So if they find out that a lot of people are sick, let's just say, a lot of people get diagnosed with cancer or something at this company, they can actually cancel those people's plans. So when you think you might have coverage, the carrier canceled X amount of people on that plan. So if something happens, your
You
family thinks you have the coverage, but when in reality,
you
you
never
lost
did.
it.
Okay. Okay.
So having your own plan you own that plan and you can take it with wherever you go.
Okay. And then single people. Single people, I don't have kids. Why do I need life insurance?
At the end of the day, you probably still have some type of expenses that need to be paid. Be it if you're owning a house as a single person or renting a car, any type of debts. If your parents co-signed on student loans and something happens to you, now your parents are responsible for taking over anything they co-signed on.
Right. Okay. And again, that's a good reason right there. And then another one of probably, I'm healthy. Why do I need life insurance?
Actually, being healthy and young is the best time to get it because it's the cheapest, and tomorrow's never guaranteed and you don't know what's going to happen.
Okay. Say that again one more time.
Tomorrow is never guaranteed and we never know what's going to happen.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to the being young and healthy is probably the best time to get it. Yeah.
Being young and healthy is actually the best time to get it because if you're young and healthy now, you never know tomorrow if you at your doctor's appointment or in life in general if you're diagnosed with some type of terminal illness, and then at which time you become uninsurable.
Okay. So again, young, healthy, do it now,
Correct.
no matter what.
Yes.
What do you say if like people who own a home? I'm throwing one at you. So I'm a renter. Why do I need life insurance? I guess the same answer, really,
It'd
right?
be the same answer. I mean, I'm assuming you might have a car payment.
Mm-hmm.
You might have credit cards, student loans,
Right.
any type of expenses. Even if something happens as a renter, your family still has to do if they're going to do the burial, cremation, whatever your correct way of end of life is. But now that family now has to deal with possibly them working, going through any type of court system if you have cars and selling that, and where if you have your insurance, your family gets that check usually within 7 days and they can pay for everything and then take the time to sell off or close out all your expenses.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. All right, Brian, thank you so much for joining me today. We hope you enjoyed our chit chat about life insurance and why it's important, no matter your age. So again, thank you for joining us today and have a great day.